Revelation chapter 1. No. I wanna, which are the live? Is this, no? Oh, still on the stage. I wanna, at this time, just give people an opportunity to, if you have, I'm not gonna talk in this yet. If you have an encouraging story about a guy, if you got a funny story about a guy, a way that a guy blessed you, or ways you've seen someone grow, since being here, just it's time for that. I want to share really quick just something about both Shane and Zach. So I counseled both of those guys, and Shane, I think he was growing. I think you were growing all along the way, but there was that pivotal moment kind of late in the program where actually some rules were broken. He had done something that he knew it wasn't the end of the world type of thing, but it was just something he knew he wasn't supposed to do. And it caused us to have some conversation, some pretty hard conversation together that wasn't pleasant. But there was something that flipped and changed in Shane, where he saw and heard me with what we were talking about at that point. And I think just the Holy Spirit clicked something in his mind and let him see himself in a way, maybe, at least from my perspective, that you hadn't seen yourself before. And from that point on, it was like, there was just a big difference. And I wanted to acknowledge, I know I've acknowledged that to you before, but just, it's super encouraging to see when there's lots of hard things that go into being involved with people's lives, because I'm one of these guys. I went through the Damascus house years ago, and so, I know that I'm a pain just as much as these guys are pains sometimes. But it's so cool when somebody really changes. I know Oliver got to see that in my life years ago. So it's just want to encourage you and share that with all of you, like how awesome that was, how he used one thing, some disobedience, some area of struggle and sin, to cause Shane to see himself in a true light. And something changed from there, where he was more diligent, he was more serious, he was more, he knew what he was supposed to do, and he actually saw himself, I think, in a way that God saw him in his sin, which then enabled him to want to flee from that and want to change. So hopefully that's encouraging to you. And then Zach, with Zach, what you see is what you get, and I love it. Because there's no mincing of words, and I think we need that in our era of political correctness and trying to beat around the bush and stuff. Zach, it's just what you see is what you get. And one thing that I want to share, that anyone who knows Zach would agree, it's so encouraging to see when he gets something, because when he gets it, it's tangible. Everyone knows he just understood what happened, and like it impacted him, because it's usually vocal, and it's just super cool to see. Like he's like, whoa, that's awesome. It's just super into it. But then also just another encouraging thing about Zach, not to put down anyone else, one of the most teachable guys I've ever been around, almost to a fault. Like if I even suggest maybe something that he should do, he starts to get convinced of that and go towards it. So I think that's just a huge evidence of humility in his life. Just so teachable. Like, tell me what to do, I'll do it. I want to do it. So hopefully that's encouraging to you, man. I got nothing for you, Jesse. Sorry, I didn't. I'll leave that up to Aaron. So yeah, with that, if anyone has, does anyone have anything, Oliver?
I just wanted to share a little bit. I was just thinking about this, listening to the guys' testimonies, that a lot of their testimony was very somber in some ways. You know, the holding back tears and talking a lot about darkness, and they spent a lengthy time sharing a little bit of their just depravity. And I think that's important. I know it's not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable to experience. It's not enjoyable to bear your emotions and your heart in front of everybody. And sometimes it's not even or enjoyable to even watch it for 2 hours, as far as like just the the darkness and the sorrow. It's sad. It's not fun to listen to sad things. But I think it's appropriate. And I wanted to share why I think it's appropriate. By the way, if you weren't in this context and you guys took these guys out to lunch, you would hear joy constantly. It talk to you about how amazing God is and how what he's doing in their life would be a different context. And so I think it was very appropriate what they shared. Robbie Tritt, for those of you who know him, he's sick today, so he didn't make it. He would have loved to have been here, but he sent me this passage yesterday, and I just wanted to share it with you regarding what I just shared. This is in Mark 2. It says that as he passed by, this was Jesus, he saw Levi, the son of Alphaeus, sitting in the tax booth. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. And it happened that while he was reclining at the table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners were dining with Jesus and his disciples. And there were many of them, and they were following him. When the scribes and the Pharisees saw that he was sitting with sinners and tax collectors, they said to his disciples, "Why is he eating and drinking with tax collectors and sinners?" And hearing this, Jesus said to them, "It is not those who are healthy who need a physician, but those who are sick. And I did not come to call the righteous, but sinners." And so as I was listening to these guys share, it just really, like this passage was just kind of hammered into my mind over and over again about these guys' stories are exactly that they were lost, they were in darkness, but the great physician chased after them, and he rescued them, and he redeemed them, and he claimed them as his own. And so it's okay to be broken. It's okay to be dark and have a need, and that's what they shared, because those are the people that Christ goes after. And thank God that he does, right? Thank God. So I just want to share that with you guys. I am so thankful for the great physician in my life. As Ryan shared that he had been through the Damascus House, another program. I myself went through the Mission House years ago, and it's just so cool to see what God does through his word by the Holy Spirit, that this is not, as much as the guys were saying they're so grateful for Damascus House, all we got is Jesus. That's all we got. We got Jesus, we got his word, we got the Holy Spirit and his people. And through those things, God uses broken people to help other people and point them towards him. So I love you guys. I'm so glad that you guys are here, that you're around, that you're local. And I look forward to seeing what God's going to do in your lives. So, yeah.
So I had the privilege of counseling Jesse here, and boy, what a mess. Jesse was so amazing coming in, but one of the biggest challenges in counseling is when you get somebody who has a ton of biblical knowledge and they don't know what surrender is. Usually life is more devastating for them. When you have that knowledge and you aren't responding to it, God comes in and just beats you. And one of the hardest things in the counseling room to do is to help somebody biblically see their own heart, because that's critical if you're going to have change. And I just want to give you props because you put in the work. It was, dying to yourself can feel like violence in your heart. It can be really, really difficult. It feels like dying. And this guy went through it over and over and over with being willing, right? Being willing to do the work, being willing to look at his heart and do the work it took to see and realize change in his life, and finally get to the point of actual surrender to Christ. And I've had the privilege of watching a miracle happen before my eyes in his life, in his marriage. and I'm so encouraged by what God is doing in your life and what He's going to continue to do. And so